1980. A group of teenagers decides to perform a ritual in a rural area inside an abandoned house. Soon, one of them kills all his friends for no apparent reason, and then dies himself. More than 30 years pass. An elderly man heads out to investigate the long-abandoned house after his wife claims she heard strange noises coming from the creepy place. After checking it out, the man calls the police, and soon Detective Mark Lewis is dispatched to the scene, even though he had plans to have dinner that evening with his girlfriend Elizabeth, who works as a police psychologist. Entering the house, Mark is horrified to discover the bodies of 3 young people brutally hacked to death with an axe. Heading upstairs, the cop finds a 4th one who turns out to be alive. Once the witness comes to, they immediately start interrogating him not far from the house, and Elizabeth arrives to help Mark figure out if this guy is a victim or the killer. It turns out his name is John, and he explains how, a week before these horrific events, his girlfriend Michelle showed up with her brother Sam. They were dying to learn about John's dreams, where his late mother sits in an unknown house and begs him to let her go. Michelle and Sam are part of an amateur ghost hunting team that also includes Brian, Michelle's ex-boyfriend, a sweet girl named Jules, and Donnie, the quiet, kind-hearted tech guy. The team quickly figures out that John is dreaming about the very house where the tragedy happened in 1980 during a ritual that left a bunch of bodies behind. But the most interesting part is that John's mother knew those teenagers and even the house's owner, who went insane and killed her friends. The group decides to investigate, bringing John along, who's far from thrilled about the trip. During the drive, tension brews between Brian and John, but after a few hours, the guys shift their focus to the abandoned house. Almost as soon as they break in, weird things start happening, and the longer they stay, the more bizarre events occur. Meanwhile, the police learn the names of the victims and that Michelle and Brian are missing. John insists Brian snapped and killed everyone. He begs them to find his girlfriend ASAP, and Mark gets on it. Strangely, all the video footage the group shot in the house is corrupted, so it'll take the techs some time to try pulling out any material that might shed light on the bloody massacre. John keeps recounting how he accidentally discovered a seal used in 1980 to summon spirits. After that, the number of strange and even paranormal events ramps up. Later, a painting suddenly catches fire, but John grabs a fire extinguisher from the nearest cabinet and puts it out. The team realizes again that he inexplicably knows where everything is. They even grill him about it, and John somehow describes where a drawing of the girl is and the seal image on the back of a found photo. At that moment, an invisible force grabs Jules and drags her into another room. When the group snaps out of it, John insists they leave the house before repeating the 1980 events, but Brian and Jules refuse to go, saying this is exactly what they've been hunting their whole lives. Their documentary will be a sensation and no one will laugh at them anymore. Upset, John tries to convince Michelle to leave, but he quickly changes his mind when he learns Brian knows his secret. Turns out John's mother not only knew the teenagers who died in the house, she was there the night of the murders, and she was the only survivor. Brian explains that if they stay and do a séance, John might communicate with his mom and figure out what she's trying to tell him with her message. The group starts the ritual using the seal on the floor. During the séance, more and more paranormal phenomena erupt around them. Jules keeps reminding everyone not to break the circle, because if they let go of hands, the ghosts can harm them. In the chaos and confusion, Michelle starts feeling intense pain, and John sees his mother beside him, telling him to let go of hands. When John releases them to help Michelle, he breaks the circle, and the situation spirals into disaster as the group scatters in all directions. Soon in pitch darkness, John stumbles upon Brian, who's standing in front of a painting, repeating that he has to kill everyone in the house. The possessed guy attacks John, who manages to escape, and then Brian vanishes into the dark. Meanwhile, Elizabeth keeps interrogating John about what happened in the house, and learns that Michelle is 10 weeks pregnant. At the same time, Mark tries to piece together the events based on physical evidence and what's salvageable from the corrupted footage, factoring in John's info. Brian's apparently the killer and might have fled the house chasing Michelle. Soon, a report comes in from a neighboring farm about a stolen car. Mark puts out an APB, and minutes later, a wrecked vehicle is found not far from the house. When the cops pull up to the overturned car, they find a badly injured Brian who suddenly wakes up, stabs one of the officers, grabs his gun, and flees into the woods. Then the guy makes it to a convenience store, where in desperation he takes the cashier hostage. Mark pulls up hoping to talk him down, but when John hears Brian on the radio, he starts screaming and threatening him, demanding he tell everyone where Michelle is. Suddenly, Brian grabs the radio and screams into it, causing John on the other end to fly into the wall. The guy starts convulsing violently, worsening with every shout from Brian. Elizabeth begs Mark to do something to stop it, and the detective unloads 3 rounds into Brian's chest. Then Mark leans over the dying guy and asks where Michelle is, but Brian silently clutches across before bleeding out from his wounds. Afterward, one of the officers notices Brian couldn't have talked to anyone because his tongue was cut out. Back at the house, Mark enters the bedroom where he first found John, then heads to the walk-in closet where he spotted a box of crucifixes when he initially entered. Exploring the closet, the detective finds a small hidden door leading deeper into the house, where he discovers tied-up Michelle. As the medics take her away, she keeps repeating to Mark that he needs to go back to the room where they found her. Meanwhile, Elizabeth conducts her own research between chats with John and learns that the seal used in both the past and present séance is called the Seal of the Left-Hand Path, supposedly designed to free a demon from imprisonment. During the ritual, it possesses one of the participants, kills the rest, then commits suicide before transferring to a pure vessel and being reborn in our world. When the doctor's attention turns to footage from the house, she notices it wasn't Brian in front of the painting. It was John, repeating that everyone has to die. Later clips show him attacking Brian and ripping out his tongue, then killing Jules, Donnie, and Sam. Elizabeth returns to John and tells him she knows the truth, and he'll be in prison soon, so his plans won't come to fruition since he's alive, and Michelle is safe. But John replies that it's too late, and he'll be free anyway, before an invisible force attacks the woman. Meanwhile, Mark discovers the body of the real John in the hidden room, and now everything makes sense. The demon explains that 30 years ago, John's pregnant mother was supposed to be his vessel, but she escaped. Now Michelle will take that role, and as soon as she crosses the seal, she'll free him. Mark rushes back to the shed and arrives just in time to help Elizabeth while John suddenly vanishes. The woman tries to explain what happened to the detective by reviewing the interrogation camera footage, but the guy isn't on the video at all. Meanwhile, Michelle is being taken away in the ambulance. The doctor does an ultrasound to check on the baby and says everything's fine, but inside Michelle's womb, a demon-possessed child stirs, the one that needed a pure vessel all along. And that's where Demonic ends. Honestly, I kinda liked it a lot, though it's not without flaws. The atmosphere really weighs on you. Those found footage flashbacks and interrogations make it feel like you're right there in that cursed house, waiting for the twist. Frank Grillo delivers as always. His detective adds thriller vibes to the horror, and Maria Bello holds the tension well as the psychologist. The idea of a demon sealed with sigils and the vessel twist hooks you, making you think about, what if evil's already inside? But to be real, it slips into familiar cliches at times. You guess the turns ahead, and the scares don't always hit hard, more like the anticipation builds dread. Still, for a supernatural thriller with a cop angle, it's pretty solid, especially if you like The Conjuring or Sinister. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Not a masterpiece, but definitely worth a watch on a night in.